Cyberpunk Week, Hugo Awards, Nebula Awards, Tour.com-a-thon 2022. The top 210 science fiction books of all time. Musical parody updates and wrap-up. Spring reading recommendations. Old tags. New tags. Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Hi, I'm Michael Levers, and this is Fit to be Read. Hi, I'm Michael Levers. Thank you for tuning in. This is my May 2022 update episode for the channel Fit to be Read. Today I'm going to talk to you about what's going on in May, June, and beyond on the channel. First up is Cyberpunk Week. Be on the lookout in another week or two. I'm going to have a whole week of videos, a video each day, Monday through Friday, talking about nothing but Cyberpunk. We're going to have an episode on what is Cyberpunk, the origins of Cyberpunk, are these books Cyberpunk, tips for how to read William Gibson's Neuromancer and Neal Stephenson's Snow Crash, and finally on Friday of that week is going to be my top 10 Cyberpunk novel recommendations. If Cyberpunk is a subgenre of science fiction that you're interested in, do not miss Cyberpunk Week. In my last update video, I talked about a big project that I'm working on. That's my top 210 science fiction reads of all time video. This is a follow-up to the video I did last year, which was the top 150 science fiction books of all time. So where am I on this project right now? Well, I'm still compiling my list. Oddly enough, when I did the top 150 list, it was a lot easier to come up with my top 150 because I really thought about the books that were my absolute favorite, and that got me down to about 150, 160, so it was just narrowing from there. Now that I've expanded and added about 60 more books, it's more difficult because now there's like 300 contenders for those few spots, and I'm having difficulty sort of narrowing that down. So I'm going to narrow that down. I'm still working on the criteria for how I'm doing the rankings. I don't want the list to look exactly like it looked last time from 150 on down, and it's not going to because the way I'm doing it already, I'm already seeing that things are moving around on the list. I've reread a few things. A couple things are moving around in different places, and I'm also changing the criteria a little bit. On the last list, the criteria was my enjoyment of the book. This time for my top 210, I'm going to use sort of a staggered criteria. I'm going to do my enjoyment. That's obviously very important. But I also want to figure in a category for how much do I recommend or feel comfortable recommending this book. And then also a look at objectively, what do I think is the most well-written, or maybe less judgmentally, what do I view as a really strong literary accomplishment, and rank books that way. And then in those categories, I will merge them together, shake it all up, rattle up, and come out with my top 210 list. And it will look a lot different than the top 150 list for a couple of reasons. But I'm also going to do things a little bit differently in terms of little bits of entertainment that I want to throw into the list beyond just listing the books and blurbs about the books. But it will be a good video, just like the last one, in terms of finding things that maybe you didn't see or hear of before. But I still go into this with the goal that this will be a resource for folks to look at to get ideas for science fiction books that they can add to their to-be-read list. There's going to be some things that you've probably never seen before, and then there's going to be a lot of classics and moderns that are very familiar. It'll be a nice mix. I'm trying to be mindful of project and time management with this because while I am working on the list and doing my blurbs and coming up with my order and everything and how I'm going to film it, at the same time I'm trying to do a lot of the graphic work that I'm going to be doing when I do the editing. There's going to be some audio stuff to do because I will be including some music in this because that has been a staple in the channel recently. So I'm working on that at the same time. I don't want to finish the video and then find out that, okay, now I got to put all these other things together. Sort of doing that simultaneously. The next thing I want to talk about are tags. One of my goals that I mentioned earlier this year in one of my videos about goals for 2022 was to do 2 new original tags. Last year I did 2 new original tags. I did other tags as well, but I created 2 tags, the Around the World in 80 Pages book tag. That was a lot of fun. That's a book tag that focuses on reading different authors from different places and having different reading experiences. And then I did the Your Mount Rushmore book tag, and that's all about what it sounds like. Who are your authors that would be on your Mount Rushmore, on your fantasy Mount Rushmore, your science fiction Mount Rushmore, whatever genre you're looking at, however you want to do it. Who are your Mount Rushmore? Who are your 4 heads on that mountain? And this year I have 2 in the works. I have the Liar Liar Pants on Fire book tag, which is going to be really fun. And then the other one is the one that I'm more likely to do sooner rather than later, and that's the 6 Degrees of Separation book tag. And yes, that relates to Kevin Bacon and this idea, this notion we have that you can take any celebrity and within 6 degrees of separation, you can bring yourself to Kevin Bacon. This tag is definitely going to lean heavy into that. So that's going to be a lot of fun too. And that's going to either be a tag or a challenge. So look out for that. What I'm also going to do before I move on from tags is there are a few more people that I want to tag on the Around the World in 80 Pages book tag and also the Your Mount Rushmore book tag. I'm going to put the links in and also the questions for those in the descriptions so you can get to those quickly. But I wanted to tag a few people that I know I haven't tagged on either of those. And then if you're tagged on these, go ahead and consider yourself tagged for both of them, but choose which one you'd prefer to do. Maybe looking at the questions. And if you want to do both, do both. I first want to go with, I'm thinking of 3 people off the top of my head because these are people who I just watched videos today or yesterday of, and so they're fresh in my mind, and I'm thinking about them for these tags specifically. One is Jolene Reeds. I just watched it wasn't a brand new video, but it was sort of newish from her, and it was a TBR list, and it had Parable of the Sower. It actually might have been a year old now. It came up, I looked at it, I watched it. It was a really great, I love TBR episodes. She was talking about the Parable of the Sower, which is a book that I really love by Octavia Butler. So I'm going to tag Jolene Reeds in this. I also recently watched a video just yesterday from Treebeard. Treebeard has a really great channel. He does really good reviews of fantasy, just like Jolene does. 2 really solid reviewers. He was talking about Hyperion, which is one of my favorite books of all time. We had slightly different takes on it, but I loved that, and I loved his take on it. It was a really great analysis of the book. And finally is Michael K. Vaughn. He's been on my mind recently because I saw him in the comment section of a live stream recently, and also I know that he, like I, enjoys classic science fiction. I know that he likes The Time Machine, and I saw that he had a review up of The Island of Dr. Moreau. Both of these are novels that were on my top 150 list last year. So I'm going to tag Michael K. Vaughn in this as well. So Michael K. Vaughn, Jolene Reeds, and Treebeard. I am tagging you on the Around the World in 80 Pages book tag and also on the Your Mount Rushmore book tag. I hope you'll consider doing one or the other or both of those. Tour.comathon in 22. Also in the intro, I mentioned Tour.comathon 2022. What is that? Don't worry about it. It's over. But I did a live stream with beautifully bookish Bethany. She hosted it on her channel. Bethany is a fantastic book reviewer. She has a fantastic channel. Check it out if you're not already checking it out. Also co-hosting was Leanne's Library, Literature Science Alliance, Jess from the Bookish Mom, Thor Wants Another Letter, Books with Brandy Shanae. It was just a really fun time. You can see from the bingo board behind me, the idea was to read books from different types of authors and really broaden the reading experience. We also had a group read. As you can see, there's a box here for a group read, and our group read was remote control. So we spent a lot of time talking about this really cool novella from Nnedi Okorafor. So if you want to check that out, check out the live stream that is on Beautifully Bookish Bethany's channel. As I did in my last update, I also want to talk about musical parody on the channel. If you've been following this channel for the last few months, one thing I've changed about my book reviews is that my book reviews, I'm starting out each introduction to the book with a musical parody. So I'm using music from like Sia, I Can't Take This Brave New World, Bruno Mars, Give a Grenade to Ya, Metallica, While I Tend to My Katana, Bonnie Tyler, Dream of What We Need, all different artists. And I'm taking that music and I'm adding my own lyrics to it. And the lyrics are relative to the book that I'm reviewing. So we're coming up with that parody music. Come to my church, my turn, I'll share water. If you've been watching and you like that music, let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear about that. It's something I really enjoy. I really like making these lyrics and matching it to the music. So I'd be really curious to hear if you have a take on that. Or if you feel like it's a distraction to the reviews, I don't want to hear about it. No. Let me know about that too, because I'd be curious to get your feedback on that. Finally, it is Book Awards season, and I want to point you to, if you haven't watched already, I have reviews up of all of the short stories that were nominated for a Hugo Award, all of the short stories, yes, there's some crossover that have been nominated for the Nebula Awards, and also the novelettes that have been nominated for the Nebula Awards. If you're curious about those at all, those are quick videos, take a look. And finally, I recently put up a spring reading recommendations video, and I give you a little blurb about a few books that I'm going to recommend to you for science fiction reading in the springtime. Thank you for watching today. I'm Michael Levers, and please check out these other videos.